How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Hey, we're back. It is Taco Tuesday. It's Shit It's the Fan Tuesday. It's Tuesday in America. Welcome to the show, folks. We got a lot to discuss on the Prepared Mind channel. We've got the preparedmind.club, subscribestar.com. We've got X here. All you got to do is be a follower, and we're all good. A subscriber, premium channels is very much appreciated. It helps keep the lights on. Now, Taco Tuesday. Questions down below. I'm going to do my monologue, and then it'll be your turn with questions, thoughts, comments, perspectives, prognostications, if you wish. Now, and even jokes. Yes, jokes are allowed. Get this. Trump absolutely harpooned the Obama radical left-wing socialist scumbag judge who ordered the President of the United States to turn around planes that were deporting illegal aliens who are criminals. Let me give you the quote. This radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker and agitator who was sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, was not elected president. He didn't win the popular vote by a lot. He didn't win all 7 swing states. He didn't win 2,750 to 525 counties. He didn't win anything. Trump reminded him he's doing what he was elected to do. And probably the number one issue for all of us, because we didn't know how much money was being stolen from us, but the number one issue is stop the illegal entry, get rid of the illegals that are here. Now, Trump said this: I won for many reasons in an overwhelming mandate, but fighting illegal immigration may have been the number one reason for this historic victory. I'm not just doing what the voters wanted me to do, or he says, I'm just doing what the voters wanted me to do. This judge, like many of the crooked judges I am forced to appear before, should be impeached, all caps. We don't want vicious, violent, and demented criminals, many of them deranged murderers, in our country. Make America great again. And yes, folks, this is the set of comments that Trump made that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court criticized. That would be Chief Justice John Roberts. Perhaps the chief asshole of the court should get his judges in line before they get impeached. And I'm talking about the little itty-bitty stupid judges and appellate judges. They better get their fucking house in order before they get impeached or imprisoned for violating the Constitution in a treasonous manner. And also, perhaps Chief Justice John Roberts should look into resigning since he seems to be an attendee of Jeffrey Epstein's pedo fantasy island. Oh yeah, folks, there is a lot going on. Now, Chief Justice Roberts, he was appointed by Bush, right? I think he's an asshole, and he's defended the asshole judge, right, that tried bringing criminals back to our country. And Chief Justice Roberts criticized Trump calling for the impeachment of this asshole, right? So for you and me, for America, for patriots, for constitutionalists, the SHTF situation just upgraded The constitutional crisis that we could be facing has now been upgraded to being closer. Scrotus Roberts, by the way, is the asshole who said Obamacare, the penalty if you didn't buy insurance, wasn't a penalty, it was a tax. And it wasn't a government mandate. No. It was just a tax. But if it was a tax, it would be unconstitutional because it wasn't apportioned. In other words, not everyone paid it. So it's a special tax for not obeying the government. Oh yeah, folks, Roberts' name, Chief Justice Roberts. He's alleged to be on the Epstein Lolita Express flight log. So we should all take that into consideration. We can expect Chief Justice Roberts to oppose Trump, Amy Coney Barrett to oppose Trump, even though they're supposed to be Republican-minded, constitutional-minded. So Chief Justice Roberts, the courts, all want to get critical of President Trump because he used the word impeachment, not in a legal filing, not in court documents, on social media, right? But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other members of the Democrat Congress have actually threatened Supreme Court justices and other judges and actually filed impeachment against justices of the Supreme Court, Alito and Justice Thomas. See, Trump didn't file papers. He didn't tell anyone to file papers. He just made a public statement. These fucking people don't like what's going on, so they just start calling for impeachment right off the bat, and no worries. Chief Scrotus Roberts doesn't have a word to say. Once again, I want everyone to know that if anybody in government or anywhere really fucks up, we'll call them on it. If they do good things, we'll give them credit. But I don't have any problem with criticizing anybody in government or in corporate power or banking power for the very specific reason of they have power. You see, you and me, why criticize any of you for anything you've done? Serves no purpose. You have no power. See what I'm saying? We have no authority. People in power have authority, and it can be used for good, or it can be used for bad, or it can be ignored and allowing bad to happen. Okay, that falls under bad again. You and I don't have authority. So Pam Bondi deserves and has earned criticism for having all the authority as the highest law enforcement officer in the country, the Attorney General. And she's used that authority to appear on Fox News, and that's it. Kash Patel has huge authority. He's made a few minor arrests. Dan Bongino is there now. It is Tuesday afternoon. He was appointed last week. He was put in the chair yesterday, sworn in. I'm not seeing or hearing anything. It's fucked up. The reason it's fucked up, or I perceive it as fucked up, is not because I don't understand the legal system. I don't understand how police works. You don't have to be a fucking genius to figure out how police work works. Have you ever talked to a policeman or an attorney? They're not impressive. Okay, they're just normal people, in other words. They're not some stalwart geniuses. It's a very simple system. The reason we're upset isn't because we don't understand, but because we live in a world where if there's a problem, it's identified. You, as the business owner, the manager, supervisor, or employee, your job is to see the problem, address it, and fix it fucking instantly. Right? Instantly fix the problems. Because it costs money. It wastes time. That's what our job is. And we don't even have to swear an oath to do our jobs. We just get a paycheck and do it. These people get elected, appointed. They get sworn in. They get a giant fucking paycheck, massive benefits. And then they want to sit on their fucking hands. That's why I criticize them. They earned every bit of it. They could be using their authority and power for good. Instead, they sit on their hands or do bad. See what I'm saying? That's why I fall where I fall. That's where I land where I land. Let's take the European Union, for example. Right now in Syria, we have genocide going on. Jihad Joe and his Islamic armies are massacring Christians and another sect of people called Alawites. Let's just call them all Christians for sake of understanding it. They're killing, murdering, mass murdering Christians. And they've been doing it for 10 days now, and I think there are over 20,000 people massacred. They're being forced to crawl on their hands and knees like dogs. They're beaten. The videos are out there, folks. I can criticize them because, yeah, they're inhuman, they're nasty, they're awful people, they're fucking murderous scum. But also the European Union has pledged $2.5 billion with a B, $billion, $2.5 billion to go to Syria. Now that doesn't go to milk formula for babies or crayons for preschoolers. No, it doesn't buy food for donkeys and cattle, and it doesn't buy seeds to plant. $2.5 billion will go to the new government regime, which is run by a bunch of radical, murderous, Jihad Joe Islamic people. In other words, Europe is funding Christian genocide. But we're the bad ones. America, you're supposed to fund the Ukraine-European Union war against Russia and not say a word and just hand over the weapons and technology and make it happen. There is a serious fucking problem in Europe, folks. I used to think that the United States was the headquarters, world capital of liberalism, right? Which is a codified word for social communists. I used to think that, yeah, we were all we do is export immorality from here. Crap music, bad food. But it's the Europeans that are pushing all of this LGBTQ crap. America did as well. America was pushing the BLM and now pro-Palestinian crap. But Europe has had Antifa and their version of BLM, and also all of their foreign nationals that are there illegally. Right? So it's a lot of the same thing, kind of like a mirror. But this idea that Europe wants to pledge $2.5 billion to give to a bunch of murderous fucks who have already demonstrated the first thing they'll probably do is buy a bunch of brand new Toyota trucks and then put some machine guns in the back of them and then try not to wreck these trucks before the next conflict goes on. But in the meantime, they can practice hunting down Christians with them. Not that the United States government is innocent in all things by any chance. Right now, it looks like we are getting very close to engaging in direct warfare with Iran. There's 3 U.S. carrier groups in the Persian Gulf. That was reported earlier this morning. 3 carrier groups, not 1, not 2, but 3 carrier groups, which means submarines, frigates, destroyers, lots of stuff out there, folks, as well as the aircraft carriers themselves. Supply, fuel, right, whatever's needed. This could kick off World War III. Iran is, shall we say, Iran is allies with China and India and Russia, at least economically, and I believe militarily with Russia. It would be a big mistake. Iran, for its part, needs to tone its shit down. It is responsible, and the Houthis are. But like I said, there's aircraft carrier groups. They've managed to figure out how to shut down their drones and missile attacks so they can't cripple our ships. At least the Navy figured that out. Good. It's going to be messy, folks. Are you prepared? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Do you have all of that? Because you should. Now, we've detailed, right, what's going on in D.C. with judges and Trump. We've detailed who wants death and war, right? But in our country, folks, on our streets, that's where you and I live, right? Our homes, we get in our vehicles, we go to work, we drive around. There's idiots out there everywhere. 40% of the country is fucking Democrat morons. Interestingly, right, very few of them actually support the Democrat agenda, but they'll vote for it even though they don't really support it, but they vote for it. Talk about psychological problems. Anyways, the war is also on the streets with us. For example, and here is yet another example. This is a new story in Las Vegas. Another attack against Tesla has occurred. Right? Some moron, probably an LG beer, it just seems to work out that way, has set multiple Tesla vehicles on fire. Are they attacking Elon Musk? Are they attacking symbols of capitalism? Right? It doesn't matter. These are terror attacks. This is terrorism. And I know the president the other day said, yeah, if you attack a Tesla dealership, it's because you're acting in a terrorist capacity. And terrorism, once again, is using force or the threat of force, using violence or the threat of violence to cause someone else's political behavior to change. And that's what's going on. These are terror attacks. And they are, in my opinion, and the opinion of many other commentators, these attacks are being quietly encouraged and quietly supported by Democrats in D.C. and within our states. So I say, wake up. If you're not prepared, get there, but always be prepared here, because I believe it's going to get nasty soon. Trump is continuing to do what Trump is doing. The judges are going to continue to try and do what they're doing. At some point, we're going to have an impasse. Are the judges going to try saying the president is no longer legitimate because the one man elected by the entire country is not obeying a judge who was elected by nobody? Let me repeat that. The chief executive, president of the United States, the sole subject of Article 2 authority in the U.S. Constitution, the United States president, is elected by all the people of the nation every 4 years. Federal judges, federal appellate judges, United States Supreme Court justices, none of them are ever elected. None of them are elected. So how can they speak what America needs? What's good for America? Well, it's they're gonna push for this fight, folks. They're gonna push for it. They're gonna push for violence on the streets. They're pushing for it. They really are. In fact, another judge, this is another Obama judge, surprise here, says that DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, likely made constitutional violations when DOGE shut down USAID, USAID, and this judge has ordered the Department of Government Efficiency to reinstate employee access to systems. So presidents can create bureaucratic agencies, but they can't fire, reduce the size of, or eliminate agencies with the same authority? Literally, folks. Richard Milhouse Nixon, President Nixon, he created the Environmental Protection Agency, which became a boondoggle and still is a nightmare of an organization that throws red tape around the whole country and strangles business. Clean air, clean water, yes, we like that. EPA bullshit, no. President Jimmy No Brains Carter, he created the Federal Education Department. Trump has fired people there. He's threatened to shut it down. It's being shut down, right? What does the federal government have to do with education? Well, Carter just made that shit up. So doesn't President Trump have the authority to take it down? It's almost as if the socialists believe all government rules and laws are perpetual. They have a life of their own. They can't be overturned. Well, the Constitution can, of course. Of course. Yeah, it's just a piece of paper. Right? It's just a piece of paper. Hell, that piece of paper has been around since 1789. Right? In fact, one of the arguments against Trump using the it's a 200-year-old law, right, having to do with illegal aliens and enemies and invasions in our country. And some idiot reporter decided to ask Tom Homan, who is the border czar, the enforcing officer on the ground for ICE, Immigrations and Custom Enforcement, asked him, well, what good does this law do? It's been around 200 years. Oh, and he said, actually, he goes, and the Constitution's been around a lot longer than that, and we still follow that, don't we? These people are morons, and they will always, these communist fucks, they will always try and put a version of their reality in front of everyone and then demand you believe their story. The same way that idiot congressman is a man and he wants to be called a woman. We are under no obligation when it comes to gender or facts of any kind, for that matter. We're under no obligation to believe somebody because they say it's true or because they strongly believe it. Right? Declaration of Independence, real. U.S. Constitution, real. In fact, in case you did not know, President Trump had the Declaration of Independence moved into the White House with him. Has anyone speculated as to why he's done that? Is it to protect it from left-wing lunatic fuckwads? Was it being threatened by someone else? Or did he want the document that says you can throw off evil government and replace it when it becomes abusive? In fact, it's been a little while since I read that, huh? Let me read that little line. I think this is why Trump wants that in the White House. Because we voted for him to fix the problems with government. And only since electing him a second time have we discovered exactly how deep the deep state is. And how it's not a swamp, it's a sewer. And how the corruption is screaming. Governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. In other words, people put up with a lot of shit, a lot of evil shit. And yes, we have been putting up with a ton of evil shit until no more. Let me continue. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, abuse from government, taxes, regulations, restrictions, masks, Jim Jones juice, everything. Illegal arrests, prosecutions, prison time. Those are some abuses. And then usurpations means to steal something you're not entitled to take over something you're not entitled to. The deep state thinks it is the government and that we don't have a say. That's a usurpation. These judges pretending they're Article 2 authority when they're Article 3 not authority is a usurpation. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, the people, it is their duty, the people, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. That might be why Trump wants the Declaration of Independence in the White House, because we have a long train of abuses and usurpations. And I think the people, I know I am, are sick and tired of suffering for it. Sick and tired of suffering, but the Democrats are going to fight back, folks. I don't know if you remember this name, Juanita Broderick. No, she doesn't make food at the Mexican food aisle. No, she is the Clinton rape victim. She is also a Trump supporter. And she, Juanita Broderick, is the latest victim in the swatting that is happening out there. That's completely and totally politically motivated. Juanita Broderick is active on X as a commenter. And she wrote, "This shit needs to stop, folks. Democrats are using police to commit acts of violence and acts of terrorism." Right? Abuse, a long train of abuse, using police to do this. Dozens now of Republicans in social media or in positions of power and authority in business, dozens of Republicans have been threatened, harassed, their cars keyed, and their homes swatted, not to mention direct physical assaults. So I said earlier, I criticize people who have authority and don't use it. Bongino, Cash, Bondi, anyone. Has anyone been arrested for doing this? For calling out a SWAT team on a fake crime, trying to get people killed. And at the very least, they're terrorized by the police in the middle of the night. Terrorized. The punishment can't be harsh enough as far as I'm concerned. The left is going to be beaten back, folks. We will beat them and defeat them. But like any battle, it'll ebb and flow. It's going to be difficult, but we need to fight this battle. They're winning it in many European nations, by the way. I said Europe is as fucked up as America or worse. They don't have free speech. They don't have a Fourth and Fifth Amendment to protect privacy and your rights. They don't have a Second Amendment. They're flying blind. But in Hungary, their parliament is representing the people. And they have banned LGBTQIA plus pride events and parades because they have a child protection law there. Now, once again, folks, these fruitcakes, they turn parades into ass and dick exposing, overly sexualized child exploitation and grooming events. That's what they've turned them into. Yes, they're coming for our children, just like they, the fruitcakes, admitted to wanting to do. They are freaks and they are pedophiles, and I'm glad the Hungarian government has said no more of this shit in our country. It is evil and disgusting. Evil and disgusting. And to give you one last example. Remember Megan Rapinoe, the little soccer star, the little soccer weasel with colored hair? Oh, she's She's a former soccer star because she doesn't play anymore. She says Trump is depraved because of the ban on men in women's sports. And Megan says this isn't an issue. So I ask you, is men competing in women's sports and in women's lives, is it an issue? In my opinion, here's my opinion. You guys are allowed, of course, comments, questions, thoughts, opinions, etc. In my opinion, yes, it is. There's thousands of young women who have been injured in sports by men competing against them, including literal crippling injuries. Women have been crippled, brain damaged, paralyzed, suffering injuries from competing with men. Men turning women's basketball into a contact sport. Men turning women's volleyball into a contact sport. Hell, the town I came from in California, one of these little tranny freaks, this is years ago, decided he was going to be on the lacrosse team. I didn't know about this until after the fact that he absolutely creamed some girl. Lacrosse is like field hockey. It's not supposed to be a contact sport. It's not fucking NHL. But that's how these people are, right? They want men in sports to injure women, right? They want degenerate men in women's sports so that they can wag their dicks in the presence of women in locker rooms. So Megan Rapinoe, you can just fuck off. Literally, just fuck off. Unbelievable, folks. It is Taco Tuesday. Let's do it. Let's have some fun. Let's see what you want to talk about. Dun, dun. And we're back. Mr. Hooman, there's probably a lot to go over today. And Uman says, speaking of degenerates, and we could speak on that all day long. Did you see the allegations against Harry Sisson? He conned 11 women into sending him nudes by telling them he's dickless. Well, number one, I am certain he's dickless. He's also probably gay. But it's interesting that he would say, well, I don't have a dick, so you can send me nudes. That's interesting. These people seem to get off on taking advantage of women. And what kills me and continues to kill me, not literally, thankfully, is that liberal women, catching that? Feminist women, cock-hating women, they seem to do this thing where they just destroy themselves. Right? They carry signs welcoming illegal immigrants into the country with signs that say, my pussy is open for you. It's like, why would you write that ever, much less think it? Right? These liberal women, I'm sure only liberal girls would be contacting Harry Sisson. It's just, anyways. Yeah, I think he is dickless, but these liberal women continue to upset and hurt themselves. And Redneck Roughneck says, I was shocked that they weren't men. Well, we don't know that, man. We don't know that. I don't think, what was Harry Sisson doing? Sharing the pictures online? Isn't that illegal? Isn't that called like revenge porn or some shit? The whole thing is ridiculous. If you don't want anyone to see your tatas, don't take a picture of them and send them out. If you don't want anyone to see your hoo-ha or your big fuzzy hamster, don't take pictures of it, right? Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Did I say hamster or big brown beaver? Hamster. I said hamster. Anyways, Harry Sisson. What a fucking freak. What an idiot. I'm continuing to enjoy trolling the morons of the planet when I get a brief moment here or there, but been working so hard lately. I'm sure you guys have too. Inflation is coming down, right? Fuel is a little cheaper. Eggs are a little cheaper. Milk is a little cheaper. I don't drink milk. But we've got to get the poisons and toxins out of our food. Prices can come down some more. And we've got to get these people to quit poisoning our skies with that spray shit. How much are they doing to try and destroy us and kill us and make us sick? It's unbelievable. Our own country, our own government is turned against us, and half the fucking population thinks it's cute. Crazy. All right, Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We have Mr. Diving Frog, and he says, come on, we all know that Chief Justice Roberts is a member of the Sandbox Brigade. Chief Justice Roberts. You know, we put out a lot of hope for him. SCOTUS member Kennedy, he was also supposed to be a conservative, and he's not. Roberts, and then Amy Coney Barrett is not. Look at how many conservative or Republican appointed Supreme Court justices there are, and how many of them have flip-flopped over to the side of Democrats. Imagine if Kennedy, Roberts, Barrett were all hardcore constitutionalists, like Clarence Thomas, like Justice Alito. It's amazing to me. How can someone be supposedly some kind of scholar in the Constitution, yet they can't even read the fucking words and figure it out? How can they be these giant scholars, but they don't even know what a woman is, right? Ketanji Brown Jackson. To me, it's incredible. Sandbox Brigade. I tell you, folks, there's a lot of stuff that's way beyond dishonorable and way beyond just criminal. The word abominable just keeps coming to mind. That's how awful these left-wingers are, these anti-Americans. All right, let's continue if we shall. It's a Taco Tuesday, and we got Mikey G back. Mikey ended yesterday's show with a very short little quip that was poignant. So today he says, you know how bad judges are handled? You know how bad judges are handled in Mexico and South America, banana republics and all. Well, South America is probably 2 steps under the United States of America. They don't have constitutional systems the way we do. They have executives, president or prime minister. They have judges. They have legislative bodies. But when things start going a little wonky, typically the president just starts throwing people in jail, or they pronounce themselves a dictator. You just never know. Right, so in Venezuela, they decided they would be communists. No, wait. Just Maduro, just the president, made himself dictator and communist, right? There you go. Down in Argentina, they managed to keep voting in a parliamentary system for different forms of government, and they've tried socialist communism several times, and it fails. And then they do something different, and then they go back and vote in the commies again, and it fucks their system up. And it got so bad that they voted in an anarcho-capitalist, meaning someone who wants the least amount of government possible, which I think is basically what our country started as, right? The least amount of government authority, not the most. The most amount of rights for the people, not the least. Argentina's gone back and forth. Bukele in El Salvador, he told his judges that were illegally operating You're done. Whoosh, out. Impeached him, threw him out, fired him, what have you. He appears to be a benevolent type of presidential dictator. Is America, and I have to ask this question honestly, could we be on our way to just that? We almost had that with Biden, who told us his patience is wearing thin, who told us he's had it with all of our crap, who said that we're a threat to democracy. Well, we don't have a democracy in America. We have a republic. Big difference. And then we got Allah running for president, who was using expressly and intentionally using there we go. Kamala Harris was using communist terminology and phraseology that's right out of the Karl Marx, Saul Alinsky books. And she got caught, and we don't want that shit. But, you know, I would prefer that there be an authority in America that gets rid of bad judges a lot easier than going through the impeachment process, which has never really been done. Now, that can also be abused, right? And that's the problem with an executive branch or a legislative branch or a judicial branch that has too much authority over the others. So, like the judge in Brazil has said that former President Jair Bolsonaro cannot run for president again. But they did allow a felon, a felonious communist, that's right, a communist who is also a convicted felon. He could run for president. See what I'm saying? Anyways, it's a mess. It really is a giant freaking mess. Okay, Mr. Ooman, I know we got lots of questions and thoughts down there. That's great. It's fabulous. We're having a great show. It's an awesome Taco Tuesday. It is March 18th. Beware the Ides of March. And Redneck Roughneck says, this may be telling my age, but I remember when they were confirming Clarence Thomas and had that woman claiming he was trying to show her porn. That was Anita Hill. Anita Hill. Ooman, Anita Hill. She tried ruining Clarence Thomas by saying he walked over to her and asked, who put pubic hair on my Coke? This was in the 1980s. And I think people still had pubic hair back then. Now we've had so much deforestation, I don't think there's any left. But back then, yeah, I just don't see a federal judge, especially Clarence Thomas, asking a black woman, Anita Hill, if she put pubic hair on his Coke. Clarence Thomas is married to a white woman. I don't think his attraction level, but hey, what do I know? Maybe some people aren't attracted to colors. They're just attracted to anything that wears perfume or has tits. I don't know. In any event, they tried ruining him over that. They failed. Thankfully, it failed. But that was a big shit show. That was a huge shit show. Today, right, they try getting rid of Justice Kavanaugh, who, in my opinion, is not the most stalwart, hardcore, right-wing constitutionalist Supreme Court justice either. No. But he apparently, at parties in college, took his dick out and wagged it in people's faces. You can't be on the Supreme Court with that. But you can be a swimmer named Leah Thomas and do that. Yeah, they have accused him, Leah Thomas or whatever, the swimmer, the man who is now swimming against women so he can be a champion. has been accused of doing just that, taking his dick out and wagging it around in the locker room. These people are fucked in the head. I've got to tell you, folks. I've got to tell you that. They're not right in the head. In any event, let us continue, if we shall. Lots of topics. It's going to be a busy week. And Chin Music says, John Roberts seems to really have it out for Big Orange. I think his, Judge Little Johnson, I think his Little Johnson visits the island probably involve boys and not girls. I'm telling you, folks, this is for everyone that went there to Epstein's fantasy island of pedophilia. Imagine what they thought when they saw other adults in the entertainment industry, other adults in the judiciary, legislative or executive branches, the Pentagon, banking, investment firms, major corporations. It was kind of like a big club. Really, that's what it was. It's a big club. And we aren't in it. But they see each other and they know exactly who they are, don't they? Or they should have a damn good idea. If they're like, I don't know who that guy is, but he looks familiar. Nah, he's probably a Wall Street banker or something. But yeah, judges, politicians, Hollywood entertainers. I'm sure they saw Chief Justice. They're like, hey, what's happening there, Judge? I guess we know how you'll be ruling in the future. And they've all got to think that. Wouldn't you suppose that they all think that? Like, oh, well, there's Han Tanks. Right? He's probably going to have a couple of good movie deals because now they own his ass. You know, oh, hey, it's P. Diddy. Look at that. Oh, would you look at that? It's Senator Graham, Senator Schumer, Senator McConnell. I don't know if those guys win or not. I don't know. But look out, folks. Oh, it's the Clintons again. We all know who they are. I'm sure they just look around and they all know it. It's an open secret once you're on the island. What a bunch of sick fucks. Truly sick fucks. And we've got James Nicholson checking in. He says, evening, John. Our mistake with Amy Coney Barrett is that she has young children and the left has no morals. The left doesn't have any filters. The left, meaning the radical, socialist, communist, fascist, left-wing politicians and their supporters, they've got no compunction about committing acts of evil, either threatening or the actual acts, right? Because to them, they are very Machiavellian. The ends justifies the means, right? So Amy Coney Barrett has young children. So I'm sure that she's been threatened directly and indirectly. I'm sure her family has been threatened indirectly. I'm sure she's gotten many notes passed to her, slid under her door, left on her desk. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. Supreme Court justices typically don't run to the newspapers and put their dirty laundry out there. Perhaps Amy Coney Barrett should have been braver, because for some reason, she's turned into a screaming coward. You know, you try supporting people that are appointed by good people, thinking that they've been vetted, they've been tested. And I don't buy it for a fucking second that justices are selected from a nonpartisan pool. Right? There's no litmus test. How about we just sit down and talk and you tell me what you think, right? The problems have to be fixed, folks. They have to be fixed. The Supreme Court has always been a political tool. It goes back past Reagan. It goes back past Nixon, past LBJ, past Kennedy. It goes back past FDR. Hell, FDR wanted to stack the court so he could get more communist, socialist crap in our country. The idea of Social Security was his way, his desire to placate people into thinking the government's going to give them other people's money. Right? Because communism was making a big push throughout Eastern Europe at that time. Certainly communist Soviet Union. And so in order to appease them, they gave Americans Social Security. They also gave them Labor Day, which is not about an American holiday. It's about organized labor. Anyways, enough of this. Yeah, ACB, the left has no morals. She looks tired. She looks scared. She looks uncertain. If there's one thing a Supreme Court justice should have is a look of certainty about themselves. And she does not. All right, Mr. Uman, what do we got rolling? What ideas are out there? And it's Roy the Crypto Boy, and he's got some ideas. He says, many people in the United States of America illegally send money to family in other countries. Remittance is a major portion of GDP in those countries. Would stopping remittance to other countries solve the problem? I don't know if it would solve the problem. It would certainly disincentivize it. I talked to green card possessing foreign workers who are in this country. And they tell me, because I asked them, I go, hey, you send money back home? Yeah. I don't have a problem with it, folks. They have come here with a green card. They work. They earn that money. In construction, earning money is not a pretty business, folks. And then they want to send a portion of that home to their country for their families. I think that's wonderful. But you've used the word remittance. Remittance. In any event, what about people who live and work their entire lives in America, and then they retire and they want to live outside of the country and have their Social Security sent to them outside the country? I don't have a problem with that. I guess they earned it. It's their fucking money is what you're supposed to believe. Right? But what is the problem? I think we've really learned what the problem is. It is bureaucracy in Washington, D.C., literally with fucking printing presses. Doge has found not one, not two, but 11 different computer systems in Washington, D.C. that are authorized to create currency, money, U.S. dollars, and send them anywhere they want. Have we or have we not been discussing that? Money is digital. If they want, all they've got to do is type in numbers on a screen and hit the send button. Send it right into a numbered account. It's digital. They create something from nothing. And that's what they do. I think that is the problem that needs to be solved. Is take away the government's ability to create more money at will. Additionally, I think we need to take money out of politics. There should not be a way to reward politicians financially for doing their jobs. Period. I think it's really a crime. Right? They should be collecting a small stipend for their work, and that's it. They should actually be, I believe, in my opinion, they should be put in a position where they can accept jobs from anyone who lobbied them, donated money to them, gave money to a political action committee or a group or any group that has anything to do with them. In fact, that it's the money that's dirty. And while you are correct, I believe that many small, poor countries, the money that goes there, gets sent there from workers that are here, is a significant, if not major, portion of the GDP, the gross domestic product or income stream for those countries. But like I said, I don't have a problem with that. Other countries do. I'm surprised their countries don't tax the money on its way in. Right? If you take gold into another country and you declare it, then they want their tax, their proportion, right? Their percentage right up front. But you can move cash around for free. A lot of stuff is going to change. I think it has to change. But all change, folks, not easy. In fact, it's usually painful. Usually painful. All right, Mr. Uman, thank you, Roy the Crypto Boy. We're back to Redneck Roughneck. He said, I worked with several guys that came on green cards and they were young and sent money back home, and they had intent on retiring time. By the time they were 40, the money was buying a ranch and the parents were back home tending the flock and upkeep with the money. Yeah. Concrete guy that I use is from Guatemala. Hard worker, really good price, does a good job, goes above and beyond whatever is asked. And he told me, I plan on retiring between 40 and 50. I want a beach bungalow house. I think he likes the Pacific side more than the Gulf of America side. Anyways, have you said the words Gulf of America? I don't have a problem with it. They've got visas, they've got green cards. They're doing work that is difficult. They're not over here, but the ones that are here illegally, collecting money and credit cards and being given goods and services and free housing and free food, and then they take that money and send it back to their countries. That is just flat out theft. It's wrong on every single level. Every single level. If we don't want people taking our dollars out of our economy and sending them down to El Salvador, Guatemala, Panama, Venezuela, Colombia, right? If we don't want that, then we stop letting them in the country, even green card people. There's a way to control it, but, they're here legally. And like you and I, they need, private property rights to whatever degree, car, everything, right? It's their money. They earned it. It should no longer belong to the government. Now, of course, governments like to say they tax privilege. There's taxable events like a sale of something. Right? That's where sales tax come from. Well, you're doing something, you're transferring something to something, and therefore we're going to tax it. I'm actually disgusted and sick of fucking government thinking everything is a taxable event. And that owning a house, well, that's a taxable event. You own a house, we're going to tax it. I think that's completely unconstitutional. Property taxes is completely unconstitutional. There is not a sale being made, right? And it's owned property. But, fuck the government, because that's what they say to you. They're like, well, fuck you. We're just going to take your money. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get there. All right. We got time for one more, I think, Mr. Uman. And Mikey G says, Iran is the last country on Dick Cheney's list. I think there was 7 different countries. Let's see. I think North Korea, South Korea, Iran, Syria, I think Libya. I think Egypt was one of these countries that Obama, or it was a General, what's his fuck? He's a Democrat, but he came out on TV and talked about how there were 7 different wars being planned. And then Trump was elected and put an end to that shit. And then Biden was elected and they added more. In any event, Iran, Iran's a big one. They've been on the list of the neocon, war hawk, Zionist politicians list for a long, long time. And speaking of these Middle East wackos, the ceasefire is now ended in Gaza, and Israel is now launching strikes on Hamas strongholds. because Hamas has refused to release hostages. This is stupid. All Hamas had to do to get public support, public sympathy, would be to release the hostages. It would have been that easy. But for some reason, they didn't. Can you guess why? Well, I'll leave that one up to you. I'm going to go get some tacos. It is Taco Tuesday. And I want to thank you guys again for all the great support on Sunday Night Live. Oh, yeah, we had a good one. I had quite a few shots of scotch. Medicinal value type stuff. Anyways, no, you guys have supported the channel, supported the message, supported the effort, the techniques. Be an activist for yourself. Write, call, text, comment, whatever it takes. Carrier pigeon, smoke signal. Tell your congressmen, your senators. Tell the president. Tell any judge that has a social media account. If they do, and I doubt they do because they're judges. But let them know nicely. You expect them to uphold the Constitution, obey their oath, and defend America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And if they don't, they should expect to hear more from us. Chance favors the prepared mind. Aren't you glad you are a prepper?